All right, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, week one is finally here. Football is finally back. It's been a long off season, but it's great to actually see the guys suit up and play on Sunday. And look, we got an exciting development that involves the Pittsburgh Steelers. So exciting. I'm coming to you from my in-laws' office, right? This is how big this kind of development is. But I think Steelers fans will really appreciate this news because it shows a lot of what the Pittsburgh Steelers have done right over the past few years, and it should culminate starting this season and beyond.
Yeah, Nick, I think this is big for the Steelers going forward just to show how their overarching plan will go through the coming seasons and how important this is going to be toward the organization. But I think here what we really have is just a really great breakdown of the Steelers roster going forward. And Steelers, we're talking about this upcoming season. The first game of the season right around the corner. You're going to be facing the 49ers. It's going to be a very, very interesting matchup, a big coming out party for the Steelers against a tough NFC opponent. So let us know in the comment section below, what is the score going to be? How is this game going to look for Steelers Nation? Let us know your score predictions in the comment section below. This is your last chance to get it in before the game, so let us know in the comments below. But Nick, let's get on into it. What's going on with the Steelers?
Yeah, so going into the regular season now, the Pittsburgh Steelers have been kind of a trendy pick to make the playoffs or potentially even win a very brutal AFC North. That division is always so tough. And one of the reasons behind it is the quality of roster they've developed over the past few years and the development of quarterback Kenny Pickett. But there are a lot of elements that go into it. This stuff doesn't happen overnight. And there's a story that broke overnight that kind of highlights exactly where the Steelers are, at least puts them in position. So let's go ahead and pull up the story first. This actually involves AFC North division rival Cincinnati Bengals and locking up quarterback Joe Burrow to not a team-friendly deal for Cincinnati, a massive deal. Reported by Adam Schefter, a record deal. Joe Burrow has reached agreement with the Bengals on a 5-year, $275 million extension that includes $219.01 million guaranteed and makes him the highest paid player in NFL history, sources tell ESPN. All right, so this is good news for the Pittsburgh Steelers for the long term for obvious reasons. If you look at the Bengals, if you look at the Browns, if you look at the Baltimore Ravens, all three of those guys with Burrow, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson respectively are going to have massive cap hits going to 2023, 2024, and 2025 at the quarterback position. If you look at Kenny Pickett's cap hit, the highest it gets by 2025 is $4.4 million. So that's obviously going to give the Steelers a big advantage in terms of how they structure their team for the long term. But let's turn and focus on the upcoming regular season and why I think the Steelers set themselves up incredibly smart, especially when you compare them against the Cleveland Browns. Let's turn back the clock to after the 2021 season. Joe Burrow obviously led the Bengals to the Super Bowl that season. The Cleveland Browns were the Cleveland Browns. And Ben Roethlisberger, final season, of course, then would retire. The Steelers would, of course, draft Kenny Pickett in the 2022 NFL Draft. And Lamar Jackson was just a short time removed from being an MVP. If you looked at the AFC North at that perspective moment in time, obviously Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow were up-and-coming quarterbacks that were going to get paid a lot of money. The two teams that did not have an up-and-coming quarterback at that time were the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And again, this is where smart teams do smart things, dumb teams do dumb things. The Cleveland Browns, they literally trade everything to get Deshaun Watson and sign him to an absolutely ridiculous, fully guaranteed massive deal that will really constrain them in terms of what they can add for their roster for years to come. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they draft Kenny Pickett, obviously talented rookie quarterback, has all the physical tools, it continues to get better and better, and they have the ability with cap space now and not trading away a lot of draft picks to just build an entire really deep, really talented roster around Pickett. Now we fast forward to 2023. Look at who would you rather be right now. You've got the Baltimore Ravens, talented team, but we don't know how Lamar Jackson's offense is going to shake out. The Browns continue to be the Cleveland Browns. I don't think they're going to be very good. The Bengals are going to be very good, but their title window really, really shrunk here. If you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, not only are they better than Cleveland today, maybe better than Baltimore today, and they're really close to Cincinnati, although I still maybe give a slight edge to Cincinnati. But if you look at the Steelers, where they're set up roster-wise and how they've structured everything in the past few years, they're either number 2 in the AFC North, maybe number 1 this year, and it looks like they're set up to potentially be the best team going beyond into 2024 and 2025. I think this latest Joe Burrow development and everything that has gone with this division and everything the Steelers have done really have set Pittsburgh up for long-term success and short-term success as well. But Miles, that's enough for me. Let me throw it over to you now. What are your thoughts on this Burrow development, Kenny Pickett, and everything with the Pittsburgh Steelers right now?
Yeah, Nick, I think the big point here is that you look at these other three teams in the division. You talk about the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Browns, and where they're at. All of them are in decent spots, I would say, much less the Browns. We're not so sure. Ravens are always competitive. The Bengals are a very good team. All of them, though, are maxed out, in my opinion. There's not much more you can do to these teams. I think that Steelers are in as good of a position, if not better, at their current iteration as all of these teams. Yet there's still so much room for the Pittsburgh Steelers to adapt and grow this team because of the situation they are in with Pickett's contract. So for the next few years, the Steelers are set up beautifully to compete in this division, and they have an excellent window for the next 3 years, or the next however many years before they decide to give Pickett his next contract. They're really, really set up well to contend in this division, where all the other teams, they may be good, but there's not too much more that they can do with these teams to make them any better. Where the Steelers, on the other hand, they have every opportunity in the world to upgrade this team.
Yeah, it's such a great point, Miles, because if you look at the Bengals, right, there's talks about Cincinnati after this year that they're going to have to let somebody go on the offensive side of the ball. You talk about the Ravens, once Lamar Jackson's contract really heats up, what's going to happen with them? Who are they going to have to let go? And, of course, we know the Cleveland Browns have had to let a lot of talented players walk over the past few seasons. The Pittsburgh Steelers are not in that situation because they saw this coming in 2021-2022 offseason. Give them a lot of credit, right? Because at the time, you could have done what the Cleveland Browns do. You make the dumb move, you go all in on Deshaun Watson or another veteran quarterback, and now you're stuck. Your roster is what your roster is, and it potentially is going to get worse. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they scout and evaluate a really great quarterback in Kenny Pickett. He looks phenomenal. Rave reviews out of Pittsburgh camp so far. He continues to look better and better. Strong preseason. And they also allowed him to they allowed themselves to set up a strong roster around him. And also, like you said, and I think this is the key point, the Pittsburgh Steelers are not at their ceiling. I think it's a really important point that you made. We've seen what the Bengals look like at their best. We've seen probably what the Ravens look like at their best. The Browns at their best is not very good, so they're not. It's the Browns at their best or the Browns, right? But the Steelers their ceiling is much, much higher. They could only get better and better. And right now, if you're a Steelers fan, obviously you're excited for 2023. You're set up in a strong position, but I think it's just not this season where things are going to be good. It's the out years as well.